Welcome to Live at Lunch. Today we're talking about finishing up the H-1B CAP filing season. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law, and I'm so glad that you're joining us, whether it's live or on the replay. I apologize, I have not been on for the past week or couple weeks. I have been sick with pneumonia. My son was sick with pneumonia and was actually hospitalized, and it's been a crazy past 4 weeks. So I'm glad to be feeling better and glad to be back. In the meantime, my team is amazing, and if I can say so myself, and has kept things moving along. And one of the things that we're really focused on right now is finishing up the H-1B CAP filing season. So I want to talk today about what's going on there, some things to keep in mind to finish up this filing season strong, and then what to expect going into the summer and the fall in terms of H-1B CAP filings. So, like I said, we are finishing up the last of the CAP filings that we have. We're excited to get them in. It's a little bit nerve-wracking at this point because today is June 11th, and the last day for filing is June 30th. It is not time to panic yet. There's plenty of time to get everything submitted, but we have to make sure that everything is done exactly right. Because if an H-1B filing is rejected, H-1B CAP filing is rejected, and if it's not, if the refiling is not received before June 30th, that can be a huge problem. So the things that we're focusing on right now are, of course, preparing strong petitions. That means making sure that our clients, in coordination with our clients, that our clients are selecting appropriate SOC codes. So SOC codes are standard occupational codes. It should actually just be SOCs for the LCA, which is the labor condition application. It's critical that this be selected appropriately, that the SOC code be one that is appropriate for the job title, for the job position, the job duties rather. The salary needs to be appropriate, and of course the employer has to agree to pay that particular salary, whatever they attest to on the LCA. And we have to make sure that the SOC code is one that USCIS believes requires a minimum of a bachelor's degree in a specific field of study, and that the beneficiary, the foreign national beneficiary, actually has that degree or the equivalent. So that's one of the things that we're working really hard on now, making sure that everything is lined up appropriately. So where does USCIS go to see if a position is specialty occupation, meaning if a position is one that requires a degree, at least a minimum of a bachelor's degree in a specific field of study? They go to the Occupational Outlook Handbook, also known as the OOH. It's published by Department of Labor and it's available online. When I'm looking up a particular job title on the OOH, I just Google OOH and then whatever it is that I'm looking up, or whatever the job title is that I'm looking up. USCIS or Department of Labor on that website has different tabs. There's a tab for how to become one, whatever it is. So let's say that you're looking up mechanical engineer, there'll be a tab for how to become a mechanical engineer. And it will say, typically, hopefully it will say something like, typically employers require a bachelor's degree in X field of study. So that's a key source that we look to. Now, what do you do if you look it up and you look up the particular job title that you have and it doesn't say that a bachelor's degree is required, or it doesn't say that a bachelor's degree in a specific field of study is required? That's where we immigration lawyers come in. Sometimes you can make creative arguments, or not even creative, but you can just make alternative arguments to establish why a bachelor's degree is required. So it's not the be-all, end-all necessarily, but it is a source that we look at because it's a source that USCIS looks at. In addition, sometimes we look up job titles in the OOH and they just don't exist. There are a limited number of SOC codes, limited number of job titles in the OOH, and sometimes you look it up and it's just not a thing that exists yet. Sometimes it takes a minute for Department of Labor and USCIS to catch up with 21st century job titles. So if that happens, then we do have leeway as well. We still have to make sure that the job duties align and job title and requirements align with a position that would require a minimum of a bachelor's degree in a specific field of study. So remember, it's not enough just for the position to require a bachelor's degree, but it has to be in a specific field of study. So that's what we're focused on right now. In addition, of course, we're reviewing all of the drafts of forms, support letters, making sure that those filing fees are correct. That's been a huge issue in the past few months since USCIS changed the USCIS filing fee structure on April 1st. It's become kind of a hot mess, to be honest. It's complicated. There are lots and lots of questions amongst us, even as immigration attorneys, double checking with each other to make sure we have the right fees, because it's different depending on whether the employer is a nonprofit, the size of the employer, if it's an H-1B, for example, or an L, how many times the company has filed for this person. It's complicated. So making sure that those fees are right, and then getting them in, getting the cases in, making sure we have the receipt notices. So we're excited to wrap this up and looking forward to the next steps for our clients. So what to expect going forward in the summer and into the fall for H-1B cap cases. In the summer, of course, generally speaking, we do have some approvals already, yay. But generally speaking, USCIS is just going to be working on processing these cases. And it's possible, unless you file on premium processing, it's possible that we won't have really information for the next few months because USCIS is processing the cases. If you are in a situation, you or your employees in a situation where you need to take advantage of the H-1B cap gap, make sure that everything is lined up for that. So when I say everything lined up, things like making sure that the petition was filed before the OPT expired, making sure that you requested a change of status, making sure the foreign national beneficiary doesn't travel while the change of status request is pending. That's huge. And then making sure that you get an I-20 updated by the DSO to indicate that you're taking advantage, or your employee is taking advantage of the H-1B cap gap. Going into the fall, hopefully the H-1B petitions will be approved if you filed one for your employees, or if you're a beneficiary. Hopefully the petition will be approved by the fall, but it's possible that it would not be approved before then. It's possible that it would take longer than that. So that's something to keep an eye on, especially depending on your particular situation. So for example, if you are taking advantage of cap gap, remember that as of right now, that only lasts until September 30th. So if you don't have an approval, H-1B approval before then, you're not going to be able to continue working. You could stay in the US, assuming you meet requirements, but you're not going to be able to continue working. So I would say like August timeframe is when we should start looking at those cases that are not approved yet and seeing who, if anyone, needs to consider upgrading to premium processing so they can continue working without an interruption in their work authorization. Likewise, if you're in a different status, if you are in H-4, for example, or I have some individuals in H-1B1 whose status ends close to 10-1 or shortly thereafter. So just make sure that you're looking at those dates. If you are an employer, make sure that you or your immigration attorney is looking at those dates to make sure everybody stays in status and work authorized. That is all that I have for today. This was kind of a quick one, but I hope that information was helpful. If you found this information helpful, please share this video with a friend or a colleague. Make sure that you are subscribed to this channel so that you don't miss our next episode. Later this week, actually tomorrow, I am attending the American Immigration Lawyers Association annual conference, which is always a good time. To the extent that there is helpful information there, I will definitely be sharing that next week on next week's Live at Lunch at noon on Tuesday. I say to the extent that there's anything helpful, because at this point, I don't generally find the sessions overly helpful with new information that I don't already know. Not saying I don't know everything or that I do know everything, but I've been doing this for 18 years now. And the open forums with the government agencies are always entertaining, to see what they have to say for themselves. But if there's anything good, I'll definitely share that, or not good, I'll definitely share that. But otherwise, I hope to see you next week at noon for Live at Lunch with Emily Sumner. That's me from Sumner Immigration Law. We serve clients throughout the United States and around the world, helping clients, and which includes employers and individuals, with employment-based and family-based immigration matters. Until next time, I'm Emily Sumner.